Good evening, I'm Zango with Deathbrand, and today we are going to be doing a new series of mine, which is where I showcase my builds, at least for my warlock at least. I don't know if I really have the right to talk about the other two classes because I don't main them, and I haven't put nearly as much time into them as I have with my warlock, so I'm going to leave that to Ryan and all the other guys, because we are going to have them participate in this. So today we're going to be looking at my Sunsinger setup. Now this setup can be used in PvP or PvE. Now, I do prefer this particular version of it for PvE, but it can be used in PvP very effectively, and I've done it before. Now, my main weapon that I'll use in my first curse. It's a low rate of fire, high impact variety. So it requires really insane accuracy, and it's got some of the best range you can get on a hand cannon. It has scout rifle level range, so you need to have something close range for it. So the best things to choose are like a sidearm, something like my Jabberhocky here, which has hot swap and quick draw on it, so it's a monster when it comes up. When you pull that thing up, that thing just unloads into people, and it's got pretty decent range. Or you'd want a fusion rifle with hot swap, something like that, for really close targets to finish them off. Now, if this was, say you had like a legendary version of a legendary kind of gun like First Curse, or just a legend, you don't have these guns are. You don't have to use these weapons, but these are just the weapons I prefer. You can use like a Judith D or something, or any kind of gun in place of this, but like, if you don't know what the Judith D is, it's a hand cannon you get from Arms Day. But anyway, you would want, for me, I prefer a gun with really long range for my primary, and I prefer a really close range secondary. So I'd go with a sidearm, a fusion rifle, or a shotgun. Now, I prefer two different like the heavy doesn't really matter. You could use a machine gun or you could use a rocket launcher. They don't matter. Just use what you're comfortable with for these weapons. That doesn't matter. But the real thing here is what makes the class is the perks. Now, this is not what I had my PvP set up for this class already. But basically when I'm playing normally and I'm not doing something high end like if I'm doing like normal Crucible or if I'm doing just normal strikes, I'll run this. Now, a lot of people who run Sunsinger or don't use it a lot, you'll see people who say that Radiant Skin and Song of Flame are useless and you should only use Fireborn. Now, that's not true. Though Fireborn is good, it destroys your Radiance ability. It does not last nearly long enough. It lasts like probably 7 to 10 seconds, something around there. It's not long at all. But if you combo, say you were to use Radiant Skin, which only is a 5% damage reduction, that 5% can save you a lot actually. It actually allows you to, if you use this, it actually allows you to survive a grenade stick. So if you activate Radiance with full health and you get stuck with a fusion grenade and it goes off, you take no damage from anything else, you will survive with a sliver of health left. So that would give you a chance to get off an extra grenade. Now, Song of Flame is more for those people who like doing support roles. So if you're a guy who likes to activate your super around your teammates, you would do that and then they would be able to get in on the grenade spam. Now, for the glide though, I would recommend you don't use anything but Focus Burst. Especially if you use the way my class is set up, you need Focus Burst for it, because you can see up here, my agility is garbage. That's why I have Focus Burst to kind of compensate for it, because it gives you that really good burst at the start of it. So when you can still do the whole bunny hop method with it, and I can still go pretty fast, but I'm not super fast. I'm more of a very tanky warlock, if you get what I mean. Now, obviously, with Scorch, you can use any of these. Brimstone is actually very, very good in PvP in PvE. It's not that good in PvP because you don't really see enemies grouped up. And if you melee an enemy and kill them with another guy right next to him, you're gonna die in that situation 9 times out of 10. And the Brimstone effect's not gonna really do anything to him. Solar Wind is kind of useful. It's more of a PvE thing, but not many people use it. I don't use it personally, and I've used all of them. I use it the least. I prefer Flame Shield, obviously, but I don't use my melees much anyway. I would prefer Flame Shield just because I can use it as an oh shit button. If I get low on health, I can melee something, get an overshield, and I can start shooting again. Now, you can do really whatever you want with these two perks. I prefer going with Arcane Spirit and Divine Order because I prefer having super high recovery and super high armor so I can tank a lot of damage. That's just me. That's how I am. That you can do whatever you want with it. Here, honestly, all three of these are good. Now, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, Radiant Will or Viking Funeral." Yeah, but what the heck is Sunburst? Here's the thing. I don't know if it's the way if it's actually like this, but I'm pretty sure. Like I did this in PvP a lot, and it actually gens an orb every time you kill somebody with Scorch. Anytime you actually get the Scorch melee kill. So if you get like a Brimstone activation, it'll actually gen an orb. Not just meleeing them to death. You actually have to get the Scorch kill. You actually have to make them explode or kill them and they're on fire and everything. It's kind of hard to explain. But basically, it'll always gen an orb, which can be very useful. Now, it's not freaking, it's not light of the pack black hole tether. It's not that, but one orb can help a lot of people, especially in Crucible. It could get your team a super, which could get a super train going, which could help you win. It could be very useful in PvP, in PvE. Like say, there's a bunch of low-end enemies. Maybe you're running Claws of Amankara, and maybe you're running Solar Wind, which reduces Scorch cooldown. You could use that with Sunburst in tandem with the Claws of Amankara, which give you 2 melee charges, and you could just keep genning orbs. Especially if you have something like Monte Carlo that gives you your melee back really quickly. So that's actually a very useful perk. Now, Viking Funeral, you want to use this with Touch of Flame. You have to use Touch of Flame with Viking Funeral, otherwise it won't work. Basically, Viking Funeral is a PvE thing where you'll want to debuff your enemy, like you'll throw it on a boss and it'll lower his defense. Now, Radiant Will is what I prefer to run with this setup, mainly because of you get more time to throw grenades. And Touch of Flame, obviously, because you get burn damage. And I use solar grenades with this setup. That's what you really want to run with this one. And Angel of Light is okay. I don't recommend using this one, but you can if you want. If you're really into that, you can do it, but you're a huge target if someone sees you go up like that. So be careful using that. And Gift of the Sun, I can see people using this, but it's not really recommended if you're using the exotics I'm using. Now, this is basically, I call this my walking furnace build because it'll make sense if you see it in action, which, if you saw the montage I made, that wasn't it. That was me using fusion grenades, which is the other setup I'll run, where basically the only thing I'll switch to fusion grenades, and then I'll run Gift of the Sun, so I have 2 grenade charges. And at that point, I'll run Claws of Amankara with it. Now, anyway. This right here is the big game changer, because these drastically change how this whole class plays out. So if you're going to use Song of Flame, you're going to be the supportive guy. You're going to only pop it when your team is all around you and you can get the grenade spam going. Now, Fireborn, you want to use this effectively. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen a Sunsinger use it horribly. I've seen a guy get killed and immediately res right afterward when no one near him, and it was a pointless thing to do. What you want to do with this, a little tactic I'll do, if I use this with this normal setup, I just switch to this. What you'll want to do is, say you see a bubble, what you want to, like a defender bubble, you want to run up to it, get inside, die, then res, and just throw grenades all inside the bubble. Because Sunsingers cannot take down a bubble with their ability. But if you get inside of it and throw solar grenades all inside of it, it'll kill anything that's inside. Especially if you can get 2 or 3 grenades off. Even if it doesn't kill them, it forces them out of the bubble, which makes it where they can get killed easier. Especially if he's running Armor of Light, he's going to want to get out. And then if he gets out, he's dead. Now, on to the exotic armor. I personally run Sunbreakers because it increases the duration of your solar grenade while giving you an additional solar grenade, which is very, very useful. Now, the reason you want to use that with the solar grenades is they go from lasting around 5 to 6 seconds to lasting around 10 seconds. So it doubles the duration, which is ridiculous. And can easily, if you use it with Song of Flame or something and you just throw them all on these doorways, people aren't going to get in real easily. And you can kind of tell where someone's coming from. And it makes it very easy to weaken them, because they come in through the doorway with your solar grenade there, they're going to take so much damage, and then you can just gun them down and they're dead. It's very good for zoning off areas. Now to the stats. Honestly, before I do that though, you can, if you wanted to and you were using fusion grenades instead with Gift of the Sun, you could switch over to Claws of Amankara, which would give you 2 melee charges. Now, for the stats, I'm not tier 12 yet. I'm almost there. I'm tier 11. Basically, for those of you who don't know, tier 12 is if you add up all your tiers on your stats, so tier 5, and then tier 1, you'd have tier 11 there. So you would want to have tier 12, so that's the most you can go. Now, I have max intelligence and I have max discipline. So the reason you want to do that is you get the effect of 2 exotics, especially if you're running Sunbreakers. Now you're like, wait, what do you mean the effect of 2 exotics? If you know about the Heart of Praxic Fire exotic, what it will do is it'll reduce the cooldown time when Radiance is active. It'll reduce the cooldown times for the grenades and melees. But with this setup, the cooldown is so minuscule on your grenades that you literally have infinite grenades, especially comboing it with a double grenade with something like Sunbreakers. It's ridiculous. You have no time. You have no like delay. You can just keep spamming grenades and you can infinitely throw as many as you want. Now your melees are a little less. They don't refill as much, but if you use the setup the way I use it, you're not going to be relying on it as much. It's more of an oh shit button. Like if you're getting low on health, melee something, bam, then you can get back into the action. Now, so to summarize this build, the way you really want to play this build is more of you want to kind of play in the middle. You don't want to be super aggressive, but you don't want to be super ultra defensive either. Especially if you use the weapon setup I'm using. So you want to kind of have a guy push and you want to kind of back him up. You can push on your own if you change the weapon setup, but you would have to change a lot more stuff. But using this base setup that I'm using here, you would want to be kind of in the middle. You'd like, say you're playing like League, you'd want to kind of, or any kind of game where there's a tank dude who usually will rush, you'll kind of follow him in. Like say if you have a Titan rush into a point, you want to kind of follow him, but kind of stay a little bit behind him so you don't get killed, so you can kind of back him up and kill stuff. And to kind of just round this off, this build is effective as hell. Like, people do not expect solar grenades. People expect fusion grenades. People expect self-res all the time. They do not expect you to come charging in with Radiance active. No one expects it. Everyone expects a Sunsinger to self-res because they kind of have gotten into this little box where all they do is self-res. I recommend you try this out, because if you don't like playing Sunsinger, this may change your mind about it. It's just how I feel. I love this class. I liked Voidwalker the most at the start, and I started using this class. I started using the Sunsinger, and I did not like it at the start. I hated it. I did not like the Super at all because I didn't think it was strong. And then after I started fine-tuning it, I fell in love with this class. This is like the most fun class, and it's easily the most reliable. I don't use it because I didn't use it back in the day with Viking Funeral and Firebolt grenades, even though Firebolt grenades are honestly the worst grenade in the game. People don't realize like the other 2 grenades the Sunsinger has are amazing, and the Firebolt grenade is honestly garbage. It's not even good. So I really recommend you try this out. You may not like it, you may like it, you never know. So you can't really say you don't like something if you never tried it out. So I guess that's really all I have to say about this build. So don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and as always, God bless.